upon his Rasul, the sent one, Muhammad. And the source Allah is the Alim, Noah, the Hakim, wise. The Prophet Muhammad spoke about 30 Dajjals who would try to deceive the world, and look at what the Saudi Arabians have done. They brought together 29 leaders from different countries: the US, Benin, Comoros, Egypt, Guinea, India, Indonesia, Kenya, Libya, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sierra Leone, Singapore, Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, and the Yemen Arab Republic. These people know what they are doing. Speaking, the Prophet Muhammad said that the Dajjal, Antichrist, would raise up out of Arabia with tanks, and he will have tanks moving about the earth. That is what is happening right now. The Prophet Muhammad said that the Dajjal, Antichrist, will be from his own people. Right now in Arabia, the Christian troops are Christian troops all around, from all around the Christian world. Now, when I first started writing this book, there were no takeover in Kuwait. But now, your own Muslim brothers have made friends with the United States of America, Russia, Canada, Australia, Germany, etc. They held a Christian mass from Arabia, where the holy city is. From the nation of the Prophet Muhammad, the Dajjal will come spreading deception. They have brought 29 plus 1 people together to indoctrinate them and send them back to their countries to set up and teach this distorted Islam they learned. You may think that this is a coincidence. You may think that there is no connection, but there is. You may think these Arabs don't know mathematics, but they do. You forget that they invented mathematics, that the very word mathematics is an Arabic word. Don't fool yourself. The 29 Dajjals plus 1, Bandar bin Sultan bin Abdulaziz or Al Aswad, make up the 30 Dajjals. However, they are just using these 29 men as flunkies because they are now lined up with the United States and have their own set of Dajjals, of which Bandar is one. The Saudis are creating their own laws and letting wealth, power, and politics rule the Muslim world by making pacts with Christian countries. King Faisal ibn Abdulaziz Al Faisal Al Saud, 1906 through 1975 of Saudi Arabia, signed a pact with the ex-president Nixon, promising to give United States back to the Christians. Because of this promise, King Faisal was assassinated by his own nephew, a member of the royal family. To cover up the real reason behind the assassination, the news reported that the nephew was suffering from mental illness. You can find this information even in the World Encyclopedia under the name King Faisal. The pact would allow the Saudis to invest billions of dollars in the United States and not allow the spread of true Islam. A lot of money is tied up in the United States, and the United States is saying, in order for you Saudis to keep that money, you are going to give us back our niggers. We are not your niggers, Planet of the Apes. Listen up, Nubians. Here is the right knowledge about who we really are. In the Holy Tablets, chapter 6, tablet 6, verses 439 through 457. It says, Psalms degree 8, verse 5 says, we bestowed on our servant David, also called David, the son of Yeshai, Jesse, and Hilma. You have made him a little lower than the Anunnaki, and have crowned him with glory and honor. Once the Anunnaki had formed the flesh of Kadmon, some of the Anunnaki passing by the gate where the sacred records are kept in Ilion saw him and marveled at his beauty. For they beheld Kadmon from the galactic heaven in long silence and wondered. As they were in the hall of records, they passed by the lab and saw the body of Kadmon. They revealed in the praise of Alun Alunel, the Most High, the creator of Kadmon. Kadmon was so tall, his head reached the 7 heavens. 7 feet, as in 7 heavens. All the Anunnaki were commanded to bow down before this newly formed creature as the most perfect of all his creatures, and as the only one that was animated by way of his divine breath. Out of all the other 14, he could procreate as Anu. Israfel and Gabriel were the first to obey. Once the Anunnaki had formed the flesh of Kadmon, the Anunnaki were commanded to bathe the spirit of Kadmon in the sea of Shapuani. This newly purified spirit of Kadmon, Sakina, which was created 1,000 years before the body, was enjoined to enter the shell-like body of Kadmon. The very plan to create Kadmon was done 1,000 years before it actually happened. But the spirit resisted because it was not yet willing to become one with the flesh of Kadmon. The first plan was not done until 1,000 years later. Thus, Alun El, the Most High, was greatly angered at this display of disobedience and decreed a severe punishment for the rebellious spirit of Kadmon. Many Anunnakis did not want to create an Adam. Hence, death was ordained to overtake Kadmon, and the spirit of Kadmon would have to relinquish the flesh. Alun El, the Most High, forced the spirit of Kadmon into his body with such an overwhelming rage that the divinely inspired spirit, Sakina, was transformed into the spirit of Halal, Samum, which gave Kadmon the ability to defy the commandments of Anu. For the spirit of Sakina represents the pure, illuminating light, and the spirit of Samum represents the creation of Halal by fire. The spirit of Kadmon rushed into his body, filling his nostril and his head, and opening his eyes to the thrones of Alun El, the Most High. The spirit then penetrated his ears, and he heard the echoing of the angelic beings praising the name of Alun El, the Most High, whereupon his tongue was loosened And he cried, "Blessed are you, your Creator, the Holy One, the Eternal." The Anunnaki responded, Kadmon was created with the intent to praise his Creator and to invoke his grace and mercy, unquote. That says it all there, America. We are definitely not your niggas. You need to get off that high hog, quit that presumptuous attitude, know your place, and come fall down before us and start bowing. It's not too late. Anu alun el is el tawabu, the acceptor of repentance. So the Muslims of the Wahhabi sect would be indistinguishable from the average American Christian. They spend millions of dollars organizing the Muslim World League, Rabatat, Darul Ifta, and hired men whose job is to spread Musailima's doctrine. Question number 287 of the scroll. 360 questions to ask an Orthodox Sunni Muslims read. Ask the Orthodox Sunni Muslims, are blacks allowed to become leaders in Sunni Islamism? And the answer is no. They are not allowed to become leaders in Sunni Islamism. They are not the accepted color of the Orthodox Sunni Muslim leaders and learned men. This is all part of a conspiracy started after the death of the Prophet Muhammad by the Sunni Orthodox Muslims, which is still in existence today. They published many hadith describing him as having rosy colored skin with lank straight hair, or as being absolutely white. Hadith number 774, narrated by Ishmael bin Abi Khalid. I heard Abu Jaifa saying, I saw the Prophet and Al-Hassan bin Ali resembled him. I said to Abu Jaifa, describe him for me. He said he was white and his beard was black with some white hair. He promised to give us 13 young she camels, but he expired before we could get them. This is found in Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 4. Hadith number 63, narrated by Anas bin Malik. It says, while we were sitting with the Prophet in the mosque, a man came riding on a camel. He made his camel kneel down in the mosque, tied its foreleg, and then said, who amongst you is Muhammad? At that time, the Prophet was sitting amongst us, his companions, leaning on his arm. We replied, this white man reclining on his arm. The man then addressed him, O son of Abu Muttalib, found in Sahih al-Bukhari. Now, ask yourself, why did they specify white man in this last hadith? Are they trying to imply that all the other men were dark-skinned? Is that why? Or is it to put a picture in your mind of a white man, which in Arabic is al-Rajul Abiyad? This statement sounds fabricated and it was inserted here just to cause confusion. If you were in the company of other people, would you describe an associate of yours sitting next to you as this Russian man, or this Oriental man, or this black man, etc.? No, you wouldn't. So why was the Prophet Muhammad described as this white man? Why not say this gentleman, or simply say this is he? Can't you see that they are trying to instill in your hearts that he was white? When you ask them why do they describe him as white, they will try to say that the white is in reference to his illuminating aura. The Arabic word for illuminating is mudir, not abyad. They are practicing racism. This was done to remove the fact that the Prophet Muhammad was a black man, a black Arab of Sudanese descent. He was a descendant of the tribe of Kedar, Genesis 25:13, and the second son of the Prophet Ishmael, son of Abraham. Now, the Jesuits were founded by Ignatius de Loyola in 1541 AD. The Jesuits were commonly known as the Catholic priests of Jesuits. Their sole purpose is to stop the spread of Protestantism, people who protested to the Roman Catholic teachings. In the monasteries, boys in their early teens were trained to be espionage, spying agents to destroy the Protestant churches. They were sent to infiltrate and destroy churches. They were taught to act as if they were devoted members of the Protestant church and how to charm the people. They took special interest in pastors who said that the Catholic institution was not a Christian church and divided his church. Jim Jones was a Jesuit priest. He was a student of Father Divine, a demon-possessed Jesuit preacher, deep into the occult. He was a powerful warlock and a well-trained Jesuit. Jim Jones was into ecumenical, universal, and charismatic work. His followers were Roman Catholic or from Roman Catholic background. Others were unsaved Protestants. Jim Jones sacrificed his followers to fulfill his Jesuit oath. The Jesuits are bloodthirsty and power-hungry Satanists. They will smash anyone who attempts to get in their way or slow up their plans. Their only interest is money and power. The Jesuit priests were the force behind the assassination of the President Abraham Lincoln. The Jesuits became the most dreaded religious organization in history. They were physical agents for the Luciferians and masters of deceit. This is why they destroyed nations, started wars, murdered rulers and presidents. So people, should they not then be called terrorists? Do you see the double standard? There were a group of 7 advisors to the popes ever since the time of the powerful Roman Catholic teacher named Augustine, 354 to 430 AD, who was on a mission to develop a technique to convert Arabs to Catholicism. Are you listening, people? Augustine was one of the original orchestrators in the destruction and the burning of the original Quran and the killing of the group of men, Al-Qura, that had memorized it, and the placing of the false Muhammad named Musaylima ibn al-Hanifi, 558 to 633 AD, who was a Christian. Just a note to all you Muslims. The Quran that you Muslims hold in your hand today is not the original Quran. They are from the Roman Catholic Church, which, as you know, is controlled by the Jews. with the introduction of the false Muhammad, Musaylima, Ibn Habib al-Hanifi, by St. Augustine, the real Muhammad was misplaced. The real Quran was misplaced. And the Jews, with their conspiracy, got together with the Jesuit priests and the Catholics. And don't tell me you don't know that the Catholic Pope is a Jew. He wears a yarmulke and he prostrates every place he goes. I've never seen any other people prostrate other than Muslims and Jews. And the real Jews are the ones that prostrate, which are the Falashah. Musaylima came from the direction of Riyadh in Arabia with his god Rahman. This new Quran was the main piece in the Vatican's game to bring Arabs under Roman rule. As a matter of fact, this Quran was first printed in the Persian script, which is the Syriac Arabic called Nashkhi, which is the script that is in the Quran, both in English and Arabic. So most Muslims have never read the original Quran, which was in the possession of Fatima, the daughter of the real Muhammad. So this new Quran was put together in Rome and given to a Catholic priest called Waraka ibn Nawfal, 527 through 639 AD, who worked with both the real Muhammad, convincing him that he was the final prophet, and the fake Muhammad, convincing him that he was the final prophet. So your Persian Arabic Quran was created in the year 1539 AD. Prior to that, there were handwritten versions, a sure means for human error, and I have in my possession some of these handwritten versions. You see, people, at one of those special 19 classes at Jazir Abba, upstate New York, in the Catskills Mountains, the angel Melchizedek placed the Prophet Muhammad's handwritten Quran in my hands for just a brief moment. A unique part of the history of the heavens and the earth, which was always in the possession of the Prophet Muhammad's daughter, Hadrat Fatima of the Ahlul Bayt, which means family of the house of the Prophet Muhammad. This noble station, Ahlul Bayt, is also granted by the angel Melchizedek to each shrine of Al-Mahdi shrine. It is written on our Al-Mahdi shrine certificate in the Arabic language under our names. So, the Orthodox Sunni Muslim sect, who are the Euro-Indo-Arabs of Saudi Arabia, are called the Wahhabi, who first came to America in the mid-16th century to establish the fake Sunni Muslim religion here. They established a settlement called Wahhab Village on Ocracoke Island, North Carolina. They brought with them all their pagan customs, one of which was that of slavery. That's right. They called it the village Wahhab Village after their sect, right here in the United States of America. Look it up yourself. If any Sunni tries to deny that they follow the Wahhabi sect, refer to the Arab World by Ayad El-Qazaz, Tasco, California, 1978 AD. The Arabs in the East who are slowly immigrating to the United States are still keeping the people in physical and mental slavery. The Muslims in America are being indoctrinated with a fake religion called Orthodox Islam because they don't practice it. They didn't plan for you, the Saudi Arabians didn't plan for you Nubians to be in their program. That is why they had to try to stop any black Muslim organization that succeeded in the United States, Canada, or the West Indies. At first, they used non-Arabic speaking Pakistani Indians to propagate Sunni Muslim doctrine all over Africa, America, Canada, and Europe. Now that you are converted by the Indians of Pakistan, they, the Red Arabs of Saudi Arabia, the Wahhabi sect, are coming to take over. They will give your black leader over to their new Euro-Americans who they have converted, such as Gary Miller, Thomas Ballantyne Irving, etc. They do not have an Islamic dress. They don't have any beards. And when you look at them, you see just Christians. They are not teaching Islam but a form of Christianity, and the Euro-Americans won't have to look at the Sunnah. Now look at the new Islamic leadership. They wear suits and ties, no beards. Their wives wear short dresses with their heads uncovered. Slowly but surely, they will get you out of Deen Allah. Your true way of life according to Quran 1:10:2. That's the plan between the kings of Saudi Arabia and the presidents of America, which has been going on since 1945. In America, the Saudian organization take on names like MWL, the Muslim World League, or Rabatat Al-Alam Islami, is an international organization supposedly to representing Muslims of the world. It was established at the Islamic Conference held in Mecca in 1962 AD. The Supreme Council is called the Constituent Council, which consists of new members representing Muslims from all over the world. These are the objectives of the Muslim World League, which is headed by Dr. Abdullah Umar Nasif. This information was extracted from the booklet entitled Islamic Calendar, which was published by the Malcolm Shabazz Masjid, New York. Slavery is still alive and welcomed in the Arab and Islamic world. It even states in your Quran 49:13, your God Allah acknowledges tribalism, nationalism, and tribalism. And I quote, O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other, not that you may despise each other. Verily, the most honored in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous of you, and Allah has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. He might as well acknowledge racism, because once a person or people become so engrossed in nationalism and tribalism, they will definitely become haughty and arrogant, starting to look down on others who are not a part of their tribe or nation, which creates wars and unnecessary bloodshed. It is inevitable. Allah should have known that. So this can explain why one group of people, namely the Euro-Indo-Arabs, who are from tribes that are devoted and think their tribe is better than, say, a dark-skinned tribe, practice slavery until this day. This also explains to a degree why there is slavery going on in Africa and the Middle East, especially Mauritania and Sudan, where the Euro and Indo-Arabs and their Nubian Moor brothers and their Nubian Moor helpers, servants and dealers are selling, abusing and killing our Nubian mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters. This is an article taken from the music magazine called Vibe magazine on page 103 describing this horrifying matter. The article states, another method of punishment is to insert insects into the victim's ear and then seal them with wax. Still another technique is to bury a slave in the ground up to his genitals. Surround him with burning coals, slowly roasting his flesh. The Mauritanian government and its defenders continue to dismiss reports of slavery as exaggerated myths spun by the biased and the incompetent. Asked point blank whether slavery exists, Mervyn Daimali, a U.S. lobbyist from Mauritania, says, the U.S. Embassy and Human Rights Group have told me it is not a common practice. A former congressman from Compton and chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus CBC, who is paid $120,000 a year by Mauritania, Daimali also points to a March report by the U.S. State Department that says tens of thousands of persons whose ancestors were slaves still occupy positions of servitude and near servitude, although such practices as coercive slavery and commerce in slaves appear to have virtually disappeared. But last January, a human rights activist named Sam Cotton was able to document this supposed myth. Fed up with seeing reports of slavery ignored, Cotton, who is black, raised enough money to journey to Mauritania and neighboring Senegal for 28 days. He used film footage from the trip to make the documentary Mauritania, the Arab Slave Trade, 1996, which features interviews with slaves and recently escaped blacks. Look it up, people. At one point in the film, Cotton approaches the walled-in house of a Mauritanian Arab in the Senegalese capital of Dakar. He is met at the gate by a clean-shaven, dark-skinned man with a white headcloth shading fearful eyes. Yes, I work for Sheriff, said the man. No, he does not pay me. A black woman then rushed into the house and emerges with another black man, who cuts short the interview. At another point during the trip,